Hi, boys and girls. We're back with Chapter 5 of Hank the Cowdog. It's a Dog's Life. You can see from the picture what Hank looks like. And if you remember, Chapter 4 finished with Hank having eaten the steaks that Sally Mae left out for their lunch. He's left the ranch, and he's left Drover in charge of ranch security. Chapter 5, A Singing Buzzard. As incredible as that may seem. It was a fine afternoon for a walk. The birds were chirping, the sun was shining, a nice soft breeze was blowing, and I was walking away from all the cares and responsibilities of the ranch. Yes, it was a wonderful afternoon for a walk, but as the hours passed, I began to realize that it wasn't such a fine afternoon for a 25-mile trip across the country. That's how far it was to town, and if I'd remembered how far it was, I might not have been so quick to leave the ranch. To get to town, see, I had to pass through that rough canyon country north of headquarters. Ordinarily, I would have hit a lope and made it through the rough country before dark and spent the night up on the flats. But don't forget that I had cactus spines in my feet, and that country was rough and rocky. It slowed me down, and dadburn it, at sundown I found myself right in the middle of one of them deep canyons. And you know what that meant? This was hostile country, home of the biggest, meanest, ferocious coyotes in Ochiltree County. I didn't dare travel at night, so when the sun settled down on the canyon rim, I started looking for a place to hole up. In my travels and research, I've discovered that one of the best places to hole up for the night is in a hole, so I started hunting for a hole. I hadn't been looking very long when I spotted a shallow cave up on the side of a limestone cliff. That looked good to me, so I made my way up the steep incline that no ordinary dog could have climbed. I got there on sheer strength and determination. At last, I dragged myself over the rim and lay there catching my breath. Imagine my surprise when I discovered that the cave was already occupied. I got the first clue when I heard, not voices as you might expect, but music, banjo music. I know that sounds strange, banjo music coming from a cave in a wild and remote canyon. But if there's anything I've learned in my years of security work, it's that this is a very strange world we live in. And what I heard was banjo music. I don't care what you say. Well, it had taken me 15 minutes and a considerable investment in energy to climb up to that cave, and I wasn't about to leave just because the place was occupied. I've gotten into terrible fights over less important things. I followed the sound of the music and crept toward the mouth of the cave, and that's when I heard the singing. Every time I go to town, the boys keep kicking my dog around. Makes no difference if he is a hound. They got to quit kicking my dog around. Then on the chorus, the singer tried to imitate a dog howling. Well, that was enough to convince me that he wasn't a dog. No, sir, it was a second-rate imitation. I mean, Hank the Cowdog will never make an opera singer, but I do know a few things about howling. I peeked around the corner, and do you want to guess the identity of this mysterious cave musician? Here's a few hints. Big, black, bird, skinny neck, pot belly, ugly as 23 varieties of sin. If you guessed Madam Moonshine, the witchy owl, you're wrong. If you guessed Junior the buzzard, you win the grand prize. Yes, sir, I had, by George, stumbled into the cliffside home of Wallace and Junior. You can see a picture of them. I could see Junior squatting on the floor, surrounded by a bunch of rabbit bones, and he had a little old banjo on his knee. Wallace came waddling out of the back end of the cave. Junior, will you quit making all that dad rat noise? Pa! And here you go, big, strong boy, and I'm still having to bring home you dinner. Pa! All these years I've tried to school you. Pa! I taught you to fly, I taught you to ride the updrafts and soar the sky, I taught you how to spot a dead rabbit on the highway, half a mile in the air, but Pa, and here you are, a big strong boy, and I'm still having to bring home your dinner. But Pa, son, You've never gonna amount to Shinola as long as you play a dadgum banjo. But, Pa, I want to be a singer when I grow up. You hush up. Don't you say a word. You mean singer? Yes, sir, that's what I mean. It's a filthy word, and no self-respecting buzzard ever wanted to be a singer. But, Pa, you said a filthy word. And furthermore, just then, Wallace saw me at the mouth of the cave. What is that? What, Pa? That thing there. Junior turned to me and grinned. Oh, boy, it's our doggy friend. Hi, doggy. How's it going? I said. Old Wallace took a couple of steps toward me, stuck out his neck, and stared at me. Is he dead? Will he eat soon? Son, this could be tomorrow's dinner. He ain't dead, Pa, and he never has been. Wallace squinted at me. You're right, son. Go on, dog. Shoot. Get out of here. This here's private property. I walked toward the old man and showed him some teeth. I'm staying for the night, Buzzard, and if you don't like it, I'll private your property. Old Wallace shrank back. Junior, did you hear that? Are you going to let a dog talk like that to your own daddy? I suspect I will, Pa, 'cause he might bite me. And I guess that's more important to you than showing respect for your own flesh and blood, your poor old daddy who's worked and slaved and scrimped and saved so you could have made something out of yourself. Yeah, I reckon so. The old man shook his head and went off to the back of the cave, muttering under his breath. Well, I never. Dang kids, no morals, no responsibility. Life's just one big party, music. Bah! Junior looked at me and grinned. I want to be a singer when I grow up, but Pa don't think I'm ever gonna amount to anything. Well, I don't know about that, I said, but you'll never go to the top with that song you were singing. You don't howl right. You're using the wrong technique. Hand me that banjo and I'll give you a few pointers on howling. Oh gosh, would you? He handed me the banjo and I tuned it up. As you might suspect, buzzards have a pretty poor ear for music. The banjo was badly out of tune. I got her fine-tuned and whipped out the song. Every time I go to town, the boys keep kicking my dog around. Makes no difference if he is a hound. They gotta quit kicking my dog around. On the chorus, I showed him how the howling should be done. Then I suggested we sing it together. On the chorus, he sang the melody with the words, arf, arf, woof, woof, bark, bark, bow, wow. And I harmonized with a heck of a fine job of howling. Junior was just tickled to death with our performance. Oh gosh, that was good. You sure know how to howl, doggy. Well, that's one of the many things you have to do well if you're going to make a career in the security business. I guess you buzzards don't get too many opportunities to howl. No, Pa never taught me how to howl. Just then I heard a howl. I looked at Junior. Was that you? No, it wasn't me. Well, it wasn't me either. And it wasn't Pa. If it wasn't me, and if it weren't you, and if it wasn't your old man, that seems it would mean it wasn't any of us. You're right. And that means, I lowered my voice to a whisper, it came from someone else. We listened. There it was. Again. And I think I know where it came from. A couple old drunken coyote brothers named Rip and Snort. Oh gosh, I'm scared of coyotes. Wolves? Wait right here. I'll check this out. I crept over to the ledge in front of the cave and looked down. Sure enough, there sat Rip and Snort down below. Evening, fellers. What can I do for you? They whispered to themselves, and then Snort said, Hunk? Is that you, Hunk? We hear singing. Oh boy, we want to sing too. We be very good singers, have wonderful voice. Well, I certainly didn't want to antagonize Rip and Snort. Since the last time we'd met, I had convinced them that the moon was made of chopped chicken liver. And it's too outrageous to explain. I wanted to stay in their good side. All right, fellers, well, we'll do the song again, and you boys can come in on the chorus and do your stuff. But if you want to sing with us, you've got to go by the house rules. Coyote's not like rules. Coyote wild and happy. Have very much fun, break rules, cause trouble, oh boy. I know that, Snort, but you don't sing with us unless you follow the rules. House rules say we've got to shut down at 10 o'clock and let folks sleep. We can't carry on all night. The brothers talked it over, then Snort said, those chicken rules. Coyote's not chicken rules, but we follow. I motioned Junior over to the ledge. He seemed a little scared, but he came. Fellers, this here's Junior. Junior down there sits Rip and Snort. Couple of buddies from my wilder days. All right, boys, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. I cranked up the banjo, and me and Junior did the song again. Since Rip and Snort didn't know the words and weren't smart enough to learn them, they kind of grumbled along until we got to the chorus. Then they joined in. Boy, did they howl. They cut loose and howled up a storm. It was their kind of song, no words to memorize. If you ask me, it was a special moment in Texas Panhandle history. I mean, the Panhandle ain't famous for its cultural achievements. But this could very well have been the by George high point of Panhandle culture. And I'm talking about forever. But you can't expect a buzzard to appreciate art and culture and music and stuff. So it was no big surprise when Old Man Wallace came waddling out of the cave. What is all this noise? Junior, you quiet that racket this very minute. How can a body sleep with all that dad-rad, ding-busted, pig-nosed, frazzling, horrifying noise? But, Pa, you put that banjo up and take yourself to bed. It's past your bedtime. You've got to get up early in the morning and go find us something dead to eat. And I don't want to hear one more word out of you tonight. Good night. Junior looked at me and shrugged. Good night. That's 2 words, Junior, and you're in deep trouble now, but go on to bed and maybe I'll forget about it. Junior waddled off to bed. The old man shot me a glare and went over to the ledge, and looked down at Rip and Snort. You all have to go home now. We ain't running a pool hall. Now go on, scat. Old Man Wallace might have swung some weight in the bird world, but Rip and Snort didn't pay the slightest attention to him. Instead, they tuned up and started singing the only song they ever memorized, the Coyote Sacred Hymn and National Anthem. Me just a worthless coyote, me howlin' at the moon, me like to sing and holler, me crazy as a loon. Me not want a job or duties, no church on Sunday school. We just a worthless coyote, and we ain't nobody's fool. And while they sang, old Wallace was just a fumin'. Y'all better hush up in that noise and go on back where y'all came from. Now, I'm going to get mad here, and I can't be responsible for what happens. I'm a-warning y'all. You know what a buzzard does when he gets mad? I don't know either, but I found out. He throws up on the party that made him unhappy. That would be bad enough if he ate decent food, but buzzards don't eat decent food. When one throws up on you, what you're getting is dead skunks, dead rats, rot, and corruption, and I don't want to talk about it anymore. Let's say that Wallace expressed his feelings to Rip and Snort. Let's say that they quit singing very suddenly, even though they didn't want to. Let's say that they got the heck out of there and it became very still outside. Then Wallace looked at me. How about you, pup? I was just fixing to turn in, sir. I'm awful sleepy. Wallace burped and went back into the cave, grumbling to himself. Dang drunks. Guys can't get a night's sleep anymore. Coyotes thinking they can carry on all night, huh? And that's the end of chapter 5. Hope you guys are enjoying Hank the Cowdog. Talk to you soon.